Good morning, Internet. My name is ʀᴇᴠɪᴇᴡ. I am one of eToro's most copied popular investors, and today is Friday, which means that it is time for my weekly update. All right, let's take a look at how we've done in the portfolio and the things that have moved the market this week. All right, so in terms of stats, the market has been strange this week, but for the month we're still doing quite well. So our month-to-date returns are 9.16%, for the year 10.96%, so nearly 11%. If you'd been copying me for the past 2 years, you would now have a return of 152-ish%. And if you'd been copying me since the first day I joined eToro, you would now have a return of 657%, because compound interest is fantastic. So investing is a game best played over the years, and if you'd invested 10 grand with me back when I joined eToro, you would now have 75 odd K, which is a decent return, I would say. All right, so enough about my stats. It's been a strange week in the markets. So this is the 1 week change across indexes. The UK is doing quite well, and this has resulted in a very strong pound. For those that do copy me and follow my trades, you will have seen me rotating into UK stocks quite a lot, probably in the last 2 quarters. And this has meant that even in the slides that we've seen in the past week, we've done quite well. The major US indices that we trade have been treading water. The NSDQ is down for the week for the first time in a long, long time. But I'm not too worried about that. So we are beating both of these US indexes at the moment, which is great. As some of you will know, my target is to beat the S&P 500 by an average of 20% per year forever, and in that way become quite wealthy. All right, so looking at a few of the headlines, the big freeze in Texas is dominating headlines. Well, I wouldn't say dominating, but it's making a lot of news. There are other things out there. For example, GameStop and the congressional hearing about Robinhood and deep effing value. But this is a big ticket item. It's very sad because a lot of people are being hurt by this. Some people are dying. Animals are dying because of how cold it has been. It's also affecting the markets in a number of unexpected ways. So oil output has been hit, gas usage has gone up massively because people want to be warm, and this is translated into an energy crisis in Texas. The U.S. president has stepped in, and a lot of large businesses have been asked to shut down so that energy can be redirected to households, which is the right thing to do to keep people warm and alive. So another thing I wanted to point out that's atypical, I would say, is that despite the markets consolidating a little bit this week, we've seen just the opposite happen in cryptos, and this is quite unusual. Cryptos usually follow the markets, but as you can see here, the 1 week returns are pretty excellent across most of the major cryptos. And this is in part due to there's a continuation of a rally that was created by Tesla buying $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, but also we're seeing companies like BlackRock admitting to the fact that they have been looking at and using, to use their phrase, dabbling in cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and a number of other large and what I would call old school financial institutions are starting to take Bitcoin quite seriously. And there's a limited supply. A lot of people will not part with their Bitcoin, and a lot of Bitcoin is inaccessible. The people that own the wallets have died or they've forgotten the passwords. So the limited supply is more limited than some people think. So this has created a continuing rally across cryptos. So for those that are on my Discord server and get alerts about my trades, or those that follow my trade history quite closely, you will have seen me rotate out of a lot of positions over the past day or two. And this is because I wanted to adjust my holdings, take some profit, and adjust my risk based on market conditions. So we've realized a decent amount of profits. And also I have picked up a number of new positions. I'm not going to go into the details right now, but you can see that I've added to my VIX position, and I've added a few Chinese stocks off of the back of some weakness in the Chinese market that has materialized over the past few days. One of the chief drivers of this, and it's a fairly complex topic. One of the people on my Discord server took the time to explain it to me yesterday. It's very, very interesting about what's going on in China. But effectively, Beijing has been trying to get a better grip on government loans. And in doing so, they created a little bit of a liquidity squeeze unintentionally and have had to undo some of that tightening, which is seen as a small failure on their part. And so they've had to take this action to make sure that the market has enough liquidity to continue rolling. The strength in the Great British Pound continues. This has good and bad points. It means that investment into the UK economy is less attractive for foreign investors. But it also means that exports are looking a little bit more attractive. So investment from the perspective of the UK investor is looking a little bit better. It also affects a number of other things like inflation, etc. It's quite a complex topic, but it's interesting that this rally just continues. The dollar is weakening too. It's not just that the pound is becoming stronger. So both sides of that equation are making the pound look stronger versus the dollar, a lot stronger. There is a big battle going on between big media and big tech. So Google has agreed to pay for some media that it is publishing on its platforms. Facebook has gone a little bit in the opposite direction and has banned news in Australia on its platform. Some people are taking this as a warning from Facebook, a warning shot from Facebook, telling big media that they need to be careful what they do, or else. So it'll be very interesting to see how this concludes. This battle has been going on for a long time in Australia, actually, and now we're seeing the effects. We saw some good, bad, and average results earning reports this week. One of my favorites was Baidu, who slid yesterday, as most Chinese stocks did, Chinese tech in particular. They missed slightly on revenue, but did very well on earnings, but also their forecast was fantastic. They're showing growth. They pour money into R&D, a huge amount of money into R&D. And some of these investments are now starting to bear fruit, and I think they will be massive growth areas, in particular the AI platform. And it'll be interesting to see how their partnership for electric smart vehicles turns out. They've partnered with one of the biggest vehicle makers, automakers in the world. A small piece of news that's looking quite interesting is VW is potentially going to list their Porsche business. And there are lots of other bits and pieces, but I think those are the hottest items for the week. All right. So what is going to happen in the coming week? So I'm full-time on eToro now. It's something that's a goal that I've had for quite some time. I'm very happy about it. So expect a lot more analysis from me. I'm also going to probably be doing a little bit more momentum trading. I have been doing that through the past few weeks. I will do it in very small measures as I just exercise those skills a little bit more, those muscles a little bit more. In terms of what I expect for the week, but also beyond earnings, there will be some pretty good big earnings next week. Here is the tab, so you can see the 22nd through the 25th are the companies that I'll be reporting. So some of my most interesting positions will be reporting next week, but beyond that, things start getting a lot more quiet. And so Q4 was the big quarter. It's the shopping period. Everyone is at home. There were lockdowns. It was also Christmas. So a lot of companies will have done very well through that quarter, and it was kind of expected in the earnings seasons that we're currently in. However, the financial investors and the more strategic investors will know that next quarter's earnings, which will report on things that are happening in this quarter, I think will be a lot more subdued. And so I think we might see some profit taking over the coming weeks and months. So don't be surprised if the markets continue to slide a little bit more. It's not that the sky is falling. I know we've gotten used to the market just going up and up and up, but it needs to give something back at some point. It might not do that. It might be that optimism around vaccine as well as US stimulus keeps the market buoyant. So it's hard to call, but we need to look at the possibilities and make sure that we are best positioned to take advantage of those. All right, that's it for this week. I will speak to you later. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. See you soon.